Okay, I haven't moved except my forefinger on the mouse. And I ended the one video and I'm going to start the next one so I don't lose my train of thought. A couple videos ago, uh, I made a comment and I knew that when I made the comment that it would blow right over your head because there was a phrase in there in that comment and I was only using it as an example, but I mentioned the concept of a synergetic entity. Now I'm going to tell you what Hilarious shared with me, us, all Hilarious alumni. And truth be told, you guys are Hilarious alumni now through me. Okay? It's what's that phrase? Degrees of separation or however. But yeah, you're now through the lineage of Hilarious because everything that I'm sharing with you is basically what I got from Hilarious and then my own insights as he told me he would because he said in the very beginning, I'm just going to give you the basics. You will have your own insights and awarenesses and that will be to share with the people that are coded to talk to you, to hear you, to interact with you. And that's you guys. So the synergetic entity, first of all, the synergy. You are pretty much, I think you know what a synergy is, but one of the aspects of a synergy, or at least from Hilarious's point of view, no, I'm gonna just talk from Hilarious's point of view because I don't even want to. A part of me was thinking, well, wait, first go look up the dictionary, Merriam-Webster, but I don't want to. I don't even want to talk about from the 3D perspective. From Hilarious's point of view, okay, check this out. This is cool. In the Bible, Jesus is quoted as saying, when two or more of you are gathered in my name, I will be in the midst of you. Now, some people have said that that was Jesus speaking, or the Holy Spirit was speaking through Jesus saying that. So if that's the case, that's fine too. I'm okay with that. But when two or more of you are gathered in my name, I am in the midst of you. So there's multiple beings, two or more, gathered together with a common cause, a common directive or intention. Yeah, that'd be a better word. A common intention. Well, from the big story, from Hilarious' perspective, when that happens, there is created above that, and how I've always pictured in my mind is there's an umbrella over this grouping. And that umbrella envelops and encompasses the whole grouping. And this is the synergy of all of these elements creates this synergetic entity. And the synergetic entity is conscious. It's now a conscious entity formed and created by all the elements of itself. And the synergetic entity is greater than the sum of its parts. Now, from a certain perspective, that sounds paradoxical, but that's okay. Life is exquisite in the center of the paradox. There's all of these individual aspects, elements of the synergy, creates the synergetic entity, which is a conscious being, because, and the conscious being, the synergetic entity, is greater than the sum of its parts. The synergetic entity is part and parcel, is aware of every different element because it's made up of all of the elements. It's almost like the large, vast, co-creative you, multidimensional you that's fully conscious of its oneness with all that is. that mass, that vast multidimensional you is the synergetic entity of all of your infinite multidimensional cells, which is why I can say the big you always knows everything about the little you, is fully aware of everything about you and all of the other little yous that make up the parts. Because imagine, you know, this is so cool. I used this hit me just yesterday. I was forget what I was doing yesterday afternoon, but I was bumming around doing something, having conversation, and oh, I was working out, and it hit me like well, a veil was removed, and it said what I saw was whenever I say consider the possibility, I can interchange that with imagine, because that's exactly what I'm doing. That's what Hilarious was doing 25 years ago when I first interacted with him. He was saying, imagine that this might be possible. Something outside of your realm of reality, your small story confinement. Imagine that this is out there. He was then, I didn't know until just yesterday afternoon, he was talking about the fifth dimensional mind. Because he didn't tell me about the fifth dimensional mind. That was one of my own awarenesses and insights that he told me that I would eventually come to, which is through the removing of the veils off my consciousness. But just yesterday, and I just went, whoa. So now, imagine, use your fifth dimensional mind, and imagine / consider the possibility. See, the whole thing is the big story is your fifth dimensional awareness. Anyway, back to synergetic entity. The synergetic entity is greater than the sum of its parts, encompasses all of, and is greater than the sum of its parts. Is fully aware of everything about the elements that makes itself up. Like I was going to say, where so far I've said like this little aspect of your vast multidimensional self, this little aspect was veiled to the point where it could survive in the 3D and pretend that it's a struggling human in the 3D, and then it was inserted, at a certain spot in the linear timeline, this being the linear timeline. So it was inserted here. Well, imagine that the vast co-creative you took an additional aspect of itself and veiled it and inserted it in another spot. And then took another one and inserted another spot. And took another one and inserted another spot. And this is the linear timeline with all these veiled aspects of you. And from within, outside the linear timeline, that's what you, the big you, sees all of its little aspects, veiled aspects that it inserted. And it is because outside the linear timeline, there's just a simultaneous now. And so the you can engage and be aware simultaneously of all these different aspects of itself that it veiled. Because hell, you got at least 10 here and you got another 20. So just using this model, there's a potential of 20 different yous within the linear third dimensional linear timeline. And the big U is fully consciously aware of every single one of them because they're all aspects of you itself, you. But within the linear timeline, Each little aspect thinks it's alone, and that time travels in one direction, linearly, and it thinks that it's a struggling human here on planet Earth, and life's a bitch, and then you die, and yada yada yada. Well, from within this perspective, we can say past, present, and future. So all of a sudden, now we can, within the linear timeline, we can look at our past lives. Well, consider the possibility. Imagine that there's simultaneous lives because they truly are outside of the third dimensional linear timeline. There's just an eternal now. So everything's happening all at once. It's just what perspective are you viewing it from? That's all it's about is perspective. Because this is one of the reasons why I honor everybody's divine sovereign right to their perspective. I will not argue anything about anything with anybody because it's their opinion. And I honor their divine sovereign right to that. I am not an outside authority to tell anybody about anything because it's just my opinion. If you don't like it, wish me a nice day and move on. Back when I was really crass, because I can't have been and can be extremely crass. I used to have a saying, and you've heard part of it, but I embellished and elaborated on it, and I'm gonna just put it out there because part of me still likes it because it just puts it right there. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and I give as much credence to your opinion as that comes out of your asshole. Get to that. So anyway, that was the me. In my multidimensional self, there can be, and it's basically I'm just being straight up, I'm just being real, and that's all I am, as I'm just real. I don't I don't there's nobody I have to impress. One of the things that I mentioned this to my younger brother one day. We were talking, and I think I mentioned before that he's awake to a point. He's not where we are, but he sees and he's got a clear view of the big picture in the small story. See the difference? He can see the big picture in the small story. He hasn't embraced the big story, or he'll allow me to share my big story perspectives, and I appreciate the fact that he will allow it. But sometimes he calls bullshit. Well, he just did a couple months ago, and we've only spoken once in the last 2 months. No, we've spoken twice in the last 2 months because I ran across one of his no trespassing signs in his consciousness, and it is what it is. I have to respect that. That's where you are, and that's where you are. You're my brother, and I love you, but you know there's nothing you can say to change my mind, and obviously there's nothing I can say to change your mind because that's our divine sovereign right to each one have our own perspective and opinion. And neither one of us are right. He's right from his, I'm right from mine. It's no big deal. Which is again why I don't argue with anybody about anything. So I think I'm done with this one. But more than anything, I really wish you guys would check in, give me some feedback, let me know. Hell, you might, you know, You have something for me. I know you do. This isn't about just me giving you. It's a two-way thing, you know. Uh, so comment. Go to the discussion section of the channel and just say hi, or say hi on this video. But I think I would like us to try uh, just the comment. I mean the discussion section on the channel, because it seems to be formatted specifically for that, for one-to-one interactions, as opposed to commenting, and replying to a comment on a particular video. It looks like it's set up to where it's a whole set format to where there can just be a discussion, because it's called discussion, you know. So I would say let's try it out. But I would ask you guys, whoever you are, identify yourselves. Don't be shy. I don't bite. I'm not gonna be rude. Love you. Blessings on your journey, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye bye.